Thank you for coming and welcome to Tim and Julie's wedding. I hope, that's about as far as I usually need to go. And it's about that time that everybody in the room stops and looks at me like, what is wrong with you? Because to this date, although we started doing events in 1999 and we accidentally launched our own DJ business in 2005, in 14 years with hundreds of weddings behind me, probably pushing the 1,000 mark at this point, I've never actually done a wedding where the groom's name was Tim and the bride's name was Julie. Not yet. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. So why in the world would I say welcome to Tim and Julie's wedding if I've never done Tim and Julie's wedding, not together anyway? Well, the reason is called a pattern interrupt. A pattern interrupt. Here's what I know for a fact. The number of times, whether you're talking about band banquets or weddings or graduations or it doesn't matter, when the MC is expected to pick up the microphone and make an announcement of some sort or begin to have a conversation with the crowd, most of them start with, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. It's about time, or at this time. And in the world of DJs, some people who say that multiple times through the course of an evening might be mocked a little bit. And at this time, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the radio voice begins to come out. They try to get more bold and assertive. And yet, because everyone who's ever been to a wedding has heard, let's get started, or it's about that time, or at this time, people ignore it, completely ignore it. And so if they're chatting over here and chatting over here, or standing in line at the bar over there, or in the middle of their dinner over here, they don't care that you're talking. Until there's a chance that what you've said doesn't line up with what they expected you to say. Now, I know that most of these people who attended this wedding, regardless of whose wedding it is, they know who the groom is and they know who the bride is. And when I say welcome to Tim and Julie's wedding, they look at me like I've lost my mind. Or maybe they've lost theirs. So I always offer them an exit, and I say, you're probably here on the wrong night if you're here for Tim and Julie's weddings, but the exit is this way, and we won't laugh at you. Leave now. Just leave now. And that usually gets a really good laugh. So now I've interrupted their pattern because I've said something they didn't expect to hear. And in addition to that, I've added a little bit of levity to it because now they know that that was intentional, but now I have their attention and most of them are not chattering anymore. They're listening and engaging in the conversation that I want to have with them. So now when I start talking about the bridal party and the bride and groom and the other instructions I want to give them, I have their undivided attention. That helps a lot. But see, communicators and leaders have a problem when it comes to teaching and training when they don't have undivided attention. Sometimes they think they have attention because you know as well as I do, you've done it, I've done it, we do it all the time. And that is, you get distracted by things that are going on around you, you get distracted by things going on inside of you, and you have this argument or this conversation going on inside your own head about the bills that you have to pay or the thing that you forgot to do, or did I turn off the coffee pot? And all these things are moving inside your subconscious mind at a rate of 40 gigabytes per second. Meanwhile, what the teacher, the leader, the trainer, the MC, the speaker is trying to give you is bouncing off your ears and your conscious mind like water off a duck's back. It has no chance of penetrating. But if they could employ a small tactic called the pattern interrupt, to say or to do something in the way of their presentation, some people will clap. Some people will stomp their feet. Someone will change directions in the movement of the stage so that it looks as if they've completely changed their mind or lost their mind. Some will jump off the stage. Some will call someone by name out of the audience just to see if that person is paying attention, to ask them to engage in a question. Usually if they see them nodding off at the academic nod or something of that nature. But the ability to interrupt the flow of the subconscious mind and redirect it back to where you want them to be engaged, that's a tool that leaders, teachers, trainers, speakers, and communicators need to be able to learn to employ. It's a very powerful tool to get people back on track with you. And if that's something you haven't mastered or you're not even familiar with as a concept, then I'm going to challenge you to be a part of the workshop on June 7th, right here in the Dallas area, where we're going to talk about things like the co-opted enthymeme versus word pictures, cognitive dissonance versus cognitive resonance. How does vibrational energy play into the stories that you tell? How do you take a lifetime of experiences as a leader and break them down into moment by moment incidences that become teachable moments, knowing that this incident and this incident may have the same lesson, but they reach entirely different audiences? See, when I talk about story, I'm not talking about your soap opera or your soliloquy. I'm not talking about just sharing everything that's ever happened in your life. I'm talking about identifying the moments in your life that could change or save the life of someone else. The pattern interrupt is a powerful tool to use when doing that. It's also one that you've got to be very cautious with. Come, join us for the workshop and learn how to use tools like the pattern interrupt. I'm J Loren Norris for Leading Leaders Podcast on Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.